Buddy, Wall Street Jesus here. Early week Tuesday recap. We get together with everybody out there on a Tuesday, early on in the week, get a feel for what price action, flow, and sentiment is signaling for us. Nice day today. Cap off a nice week last week. Some interesting things to talk about. Today was what we were calling just, I guess, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake to what we were seeing early on here. Sentiment was getting pretty bearish out there going into last week. Okay. And we started to see the flow improve a bit. Again, I wouldn't say it wasn't ideal. We were hoping to see, as we like to call them, bull missiles, these size, sharp looking, no doubt about it, bullish bets to come into some maybe high beta, some big names, but we were seeing something a little bit different, which is not all that bad if it continues. Okay. And what we started to see was selective buying in names that have been getting ignored for a long, long time. Okay. And a lot of you remember, even going back through some of those Saturday sweep series webinars we were doing together, how we were hoping and looking for that rotation, even coming into early this year, because again, the same old names, the Microns of the world, the Fang names of the world, the Teslas, eventually they get tired. Eventually the smart money out there starts to look elsewhere on a risk reward basis for value. And, it took them long enough, but there are some signs out there that we've been seeing that's starting to happen. And I think confidence in that trade doesn't come out of days like today. Okay. Today is a day, like a lot of people in the room today in the Steam room were saying how today felt like the only real up day. And that's because all the names that they like to look at, all the names we're so used to looking at, had solid days today, right? I mean, you had Netflix blowout earnings again, and you had this scramble into everything else in that arena, in that group. Okay, pretty much all the high beta stuff, Chinese names, you name it. Everybody looking for some exposure that they didn't have in these things. And that's why today felt a lot different than all of last week and early this week, but to be honest, and this is where the flow, obviously I'm biased, but this is where the flow provides huge value to me, because otherwise I probably wouldn't pick up on it on my own with all the noise out there. We started to see an improvement in the flow, some outperformance, and some decent price action out of some of the under the hood stuff already prior to today. While all the other stuff out there, the names that we're so used to staring at, from all last year, as they've been choppy, right? One day up, one day down, one day up, one day down. They couldn't hold on to gains. They fade them at the end of the day every day. Underneath the hood, you had a select group of names that were catching some quality action and starting to outperform. Okay. Energy, as you guys know, now there are reasons for it. Okay. That's the obvious, but energy has been one spot in particular that, again, has been outperforming price action wise, flow wise. There's been quality buying there. And, that has, how long have we been talking about this energy sector now, just trying to find some footing, right? And, we've been starting to see that happen. And names, guys, off the top of my head, you guys probably never heard of in your life, never traded them, maybe never intend on trading them, from an ILG, which is a, hotel timeshare name, that ERI, which I got lucky with, caught some news on a casino name. The casinos in general, MGM, seeing some decent flow. Had another nice day today. So we're starting to see them. We started to see them become selective away from the most popular names. And don't get me wrong, you still got names like Intel that's been seeing some ridiculous action. All right. Tech name like ATVI. A lot of you guys know that name. All right. ATVI has been seeing decent activity. Had a nice day today. So, a lot of people think it's one or the other, like it's going to be all unusual activity in names that are illiquid and you never heard of, or it's going to be in the widely held names that you feel comfortable trading. It's not that clean cut. It's not that clean cut. You're going to see some tech names in there. You have heard of some tech names in there, but the most important thing that I'm starting to see is, the action. Forget about the price action. The flow, the good-looking flow is coming elsewhere. All right. Does that continue from here? I have no idea. If I knew that, I wouldn't be talking to you guys on this webinar right now. But each day that comes and goes by, and that's the approach we've been taking here. And the true colors are going to come out into weakness more than into strength. Okay, like a day like today, flow in some of the high beta names, the tech names, I probably won't even remember that action beyond today. Okay, but tomorrow or later this week, we get a nice pull in this market, a little pullback from being up from the lows here, a decent amount. And that's where I think we're going to get the cleaner signals of where the flow might be headed. Okay. If you guys, again, this is a misconception from, anybody who comes on these webinars or ends up joining the Steam room. You do not have to trade options for flow to be a huge edge in your trading game. Okay. And here's one aspect where I think you might have an advantage. If you're an equities player, okay, you trade equities, you're going to have an easier time off the flow we've been seeing than if you're trading options. I mean, for me, if you're going to trade these under the radar names and options, you guys heard me say it like a broken record. I think you got to take the approach. You're going to size down because you're going to put in what you're willing to lose. Okay, that's your stop loss, is the premium you pay. Because if you're going to say, I'm going to put, 30% stop and I'm going to pull the plug, you can be down that later in that day. That's how wide some of these spreads are. Okay. And if you get no action in these things for a couple of days, for example, like an ERI, if that does nothing for a week, there's going to be some juice sucked out, some nice juice sucked out of those calls. Okay. But you see how they can be worth it. You walk in one day and you see some news on an ERI. Another name, we were just talking about it yesterday and Friday, because, and sometimes even myself, guys, I'm staring at this flow and I don't realize it until there's enough action there. Okay. We were talking about this early morning yesterday and Friday. We were saying, I've been mentioning this XRX, this Xerox, a lot over the last couple of days. A lot more than usual, I'll tell you that much. And, the buying started to stick out in this XRX. If somebody was in there buying, they started off buying a decent amount of July calls for this name. Then they come in, they hit May calls up. Now, which one of us come in to the trading day looking to trade Xerox? You understand what I'm saying? But this is a name. It wasn't even, why was this thing even publicly traded? That's how bad the action has been in a lot of these names. They've been ignored. And, the smart money's starting to look for value in these places. Some may be news oriented. I heard that, some icon news today on the Xerox. But I'm just giving you guys an example of what I'm seeing here. And why I feel I'm bullish when I see this. This is not bearish in my opinion. I feel bullish. I'm bearish when, we see some micron sweepers, missiles, And then you got Micron run 8 points to the upside. And all you guys and myself included, we're looking for Micron sweepers again because there's not much buying anywhere else. I don't feel bullish about that. This is the stuff I feel bullish about. Because off the top of my head, if I was to guess, there's probably like 45% of this market that's been ignored for a long, long time. This again, we were talking about this yesterday in the room. There are names out there. Why are they even publicly traded? They've been a disaster, trending lower, not a rally in sight. You don't even know they're around anymore. Okay. And if the big money out there starts to find a home in these things, there's going to be some decent opportunities. There's some shorts in these things that have been comfortable on the short side because they've been dead for a long, long time. They get squeezed. You get some powerful short-term moves as a trader. That's music to our ears, right? We're buying weakness, we're buying consolidation, and you get a quick move that you can lock in over a short amount of time. We love that. All right, so I think that's something I wanted to make a note of early on in this Tuesday webinar. And listen, if you do not trade these names or you don't feel comfortable trading these names, okay, then this is where you have to evaluate your strategy as a swing trader, as a position trader, and say to yourself, I mean, there's going to be times where I'm just not going to be involved in too much because I need to allow things to set up. I think chasing that ladder, remember we were talking about that last year, where going into January, I see it all day on Twitter. Somebody buys Amazon calls. Okay, the stock makes a move, a $10 move. He flips them in a couple of days. And then 2 days after that, he's buying Amazon $5 higher. The stock's $5 higher than where he sold it a couple of days ago. That constant just chasing up the ladder that you got away with last year. This year, you're not going to get away with it. That's my bet. You're not going to get away with it. All right. So if you're not comfortable in these other names, and if you've only been trading the last couple of years, it's gonna look weird, strange to you because this is all we've been seeing. I told you guys, those of you who follow me on Twitter know me in the room, in 99, 2000, okay, you never hear this mentioned ever, okay? But when that tech bubble blew up, and I'm not saying anything's blowing up, I'm just giving you an example, okay? When that tech bubble blew up, while everybody was watching all these popular, widely traded internet tech names, continue to come down and make lower lows, lower highs, okay? Some of them getting demolished. Underneath the hood, there was this massive rotation into small and micro cap stocks, okay? And for the traders, I was a broker at the time. And I kid you not, everybody at that firm had their eyes glued to the screen, looking to buy dips on these big names, thinking they're going to come back and stuff, and had no clue what was going on out there. And there were $5, $10 stocks that were doubling and tripling in a couple months. That's how big that rotation was. And it was the same thing to what I'm saying now on a larger scale. These names were ignored through the late 90s. Nobody had an interest in them. You didn't even know they were publicly traded. Okay? And not to get, me with fundamentals. I'm not a big fundamental guy. But, I started because all this, I see all this action coming in the rotation. And I start looking at these companies, a lot of them profitable, a lot of them with explosive growth rates. They were just ignored. And that's where the smart money started to rotate into to find value. So we may see something like that. Maybe it's on a smaller scale, right? but we may see something like that. And if you're not paying attention to that, you're going to find a tougher time on the long side. You're going to find a tougher time on the short side. I mean, look at what's going on here now. Look at what's going on here now. And you guys ask why I don't short. I mean, can you still ask me that question? Do you not see the reasons why I don't short? And if we spoke about this last week. If you're shorting or buying puts in this market and you have no idea where sentiment is on a day-to-day basis, you've lost your mind. You've lost your mind. I don't know how you guys could do it. You lost your mind. And you see again, it's going to happen. This market runs riffraff over. That's its job. That's what it does. Okay? Plain and simple. That's what it does. And when all the news is disgusting, okay, and the market's sitting there factoring it all in, and your gut tells you, oh, this market is going to fall apart, crash. Somebody on Twitter just showed me a 1987 chart. It looks identical. Usually there's a tradable low in. But at the least, you cannot short. At the least, you cannot short. Okay, so here's my game plan going forward from here, okay? When we get this type of lift like it did today, guys, as far as day trading today, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't make a penny today on the day trade side. I tried a couple things. I scalped a couple things. I made a little money, lost a little money. It was going nowhere early, okay? Because these type of days, it's just not my style. All right, these are the days for my swing account, the stuff I'm swing trading. And, I don't swing trade as much. I try to be really selective there. I want to take some of the shorter term stuff off the table here. So that's what we were looking to do today in the room. A lot of us who were in April, May calls, if you are still bullish, you want to roll that out. You know what I mean? That type of thing. If not if it was just a trade, lock that in and allow this market to set up. Okay. And what I mean by set up, now some of the shorter term sentiment that we look at, which was showing us extreme bearishness down here, we had this market rally now, right? So now all of a sudden retail's not as bearish as they were down here. Down here, the world was coming to an end. Trump's gonna fire Mueller. We're gonna bomb Syria and Russia's gonna nuke us. Oh no, China tariffs, where America's going out of business. So that was all down here. They got fully protected. Some riffraff thought they could short and outsmart the market. They get run over. Okay. And as you continue to push a little bit higher here, protection comes off, shorts get squeezed, and now you get that bullish feeling back into your body. All right. So when you start to see that now, this is where you raise stops. Like I said, some of the shorter term stuff you lock in, you roll out, and allow Trump to pull something out of his rear end, right? Or whatever may pop up. I'm sure something pops up, and let this market breathe a little bit and see what the action looks like into that. Okay. And what I'm hoping for is, like I mentioned earlier on in the webinar, I'm hoping for that concentration, that rotation into names that have been ignored. Because you look, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Here's one, okay, just to give you an idea. The action here wasn't jaw dropping by no means, okay? But this just gives you an idea of some of the stuff out there. Look at this thing. Okay, this is Michael's Stores. It's a retailer. Caught some action. Like I said, nothing crazy by no means. Okay, but just this type of thing. I mean, this is not easy to do. You're talking about going down almost every single day here. All right, so if you see some decent aggressive activity come in to a name like this, yeah, it tilts the probability of a squeeze in your favor. And, this thing can squeeze to 21. Again, I'm just using this as an example, 21, $22 and still look awful. Right? And still look awful. So, we've been seeing a lot of these names. Like, for example, we just saw more action than this, and nobody in their right mind was going to buy this. So I don't even feel bad that I didn't own it. But this is PCG, a utility. Okay. And, we started to see flow in this. The utilities were the last thing anybody wanted to own, right? Do not buy utilities. Sentiment was washed out completely there. And we saw some size activity further out. I think they were September start to come in. You turn your head and little by little, look at this PCG start to push higher. That's what happens. So that's what I'm looking for. ATVI, which had a nice move, and this is not a big move. But if you're buying off of this, right, into weakness, this is all you need. Some of us had decent short-term trades out of this, and this really didn't even go anywhere yet. So that's the type of stuff I'm focusing on. I do not, I'm not, you guys know me by now. I'm not chasing this stuff. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. All right. But if we can see more and more names, not IGT, what am I doing here? These under the radar names. And here's the other side of it too. Everybody thinks they're like poorly run companies, like that Michaels, a beaten up retail. This ILG has been a solid name for a long time. Okay. Had a pull. So you're not chasing there. It wasn't one buyer. They came in, they hit it again, they hit it again. I said, okay, it's something we got to play now, and then you catch rumors or whatever. The reasons are always different. You got to trade there. So that's what I like, coming off this or consolidation and stuff like that. All right. Even energy, I think now, though, we're at the point where you have to let them breathe a little bit. All right. PXD was one. I like the action. There was one really good looking September sweep. We spoke about this a couple of times, if you guys remember. She can really move this PXD. But, look. So I don't want to be a buyer up here as a swing trader. I don't want to be a buyer up there. COP, same thing. So they may keep going for all I know. They may keep going, but for me, I'm not. This is not my cup of tea. There's one name that caught a decent looking sweep yesterday. Catches earnings, but it was a pretty decent sweep. Devon. You guys know this name? Devon? So it's not, I just showed you the PXD and COP, right? Yeah, that they're up like 15 straight days. This, you had a little lift off the lows, and you see this little breather here? And they just hit this just yesterday. I think it was like a $500,000 sweep. Devon, this name could catch size. So it's not as big as you would think. But, if you're looking at the name, you're looking for an energy name, decent sweep. Caught a little bit of action today again. All right, so that name is a better setup in the energy space. What else was there? I think that's it for energy. But there's been, this Valero continues to see action. Have you guys looked at this name, by the way? This VLO? Steven in the room. This is new all-time highs. Maria, you traded this? What an animal, huh? Whew. So this is new all-time highs. Very nice. Yeah, caught some action yesterday. And really strong. Really strong. And, some of the lower tier names, Rig, but you could see all have rallied, guys. Every single one of these things have rallied nicely for the most part. That's RIG I have on the screen there. QEP. I like this name. You know why I like this name? It catches a decent amount of sweeper activity, and Elliott Management, which loves to sweep. They are involved in the name. So we continuously see call sweepers supporting this name. This is Queen Elephant Peter, QEP. 11 and change, but had a nice rally here. Had a nice rally. So, these are more, I think you look for dips and opportunities there. We need a breather. I thought maybe today we'd get a little weakness in them, being that the rest of the market was up. We didn't get that. But energy is a spot to look at. What about you guys? You guys have any names you're looking at right now, flow-wise or anything else? Or if you have any questions, guys, fire them out. This is the time and place. What are you guys looking at? Maria mentioned she traded that VLO, the animal. Mike is talking about Roku. I mean, I can't buy that here now, Mike. For me, Roku, you want it to quiet down now because it was off news yesterday. Had some flow today. Quiet down, and then I'm looking for good-looking sweeper activity into it. But I don't want to buy a gap up off news. Now, if action came in down here somewhere while it was dead, I would definitely be interested. All right, but that's a preference thing for me. That's a preference thing. So that's my call there. I would let it go quiet and then take a peek at it there. Yeah, GE. I mean, this is a tough one, right? But GE had some flow today. Had some flow. We already know any call activity this thing's had in the past got totally run over. We know that, right? I mean, it's a given. Had a little bit of action today. You would think it's overdue. The kiss of death words right there for a squeeze. But that's as much as I can bless it from there, Sam. Tough. I think there's easier stuff out there right now. Maybe not right this minute, but tough. Yeah, Maria, Twitter had, as you know, a really good-looking sweep. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Twitter had, we were talking about this. If you were looking for a trade in Twitter and try to catch a move pre-earnings, you know what I mean? Hopefully you catch a move before they announce. I wouldn't recommend ever holding through earnings off a bet. This was the bet to do it. Oh, God, I'm the worst. You can see that here. So this guy on 4/12 swept the May 31 calls. And you can see the amount there, 600 plus, swept multiple exchanges. So that was the bet, 29 and change. And then you would have been fortunate, catch that upgrade today and catch that pop. Okay, so as far as chasing this, again, just not my cup of tea. I liked the setup here off the pole, and you had a nice looking sweep if you were interested in the name. But here, same thing like the Roku, I would need it to settle down. Maria said, I bought some and held through red. Yeah, you had to hold through a day or two of red. Nice. But that's the thing, Maria. See, that's the beauty for me following aggressive activity into weakness. Even if you're early, the probabilities there that if the sweep is good looking enough, you catch that squeeze and it takes you into that green, right? So even though you're early, you got to sit through. Like this ATVI, this drove us a little crazy. I'm not going to lie. This wasn't smooth, and it's a volatile name. Every time it popped, it would give it back. It was frustrating. But, it caught some good-looking action. One sweep in particular really got me excited. So it allowed us to sit through it. And, we had a nice trade today. So that's like what Maria's talking about with the Twitter there. Ari Rosenberg, any flow on Charter? Yeah, Charter had, you're talking about today. No, Charter had, I think it was a bull risk reversal about a week ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the order down here somewhere. Is that what you're referring to, Ari? Yeah, very large bull risk reversal. Yeah. So it had it down here. You had a little pop. Today looks like it took a breath, but you had a nice bet down here. Nice bet. I didn't see anything more, if that's what you're asking. William is asking GWPH. Do they trade options? Oh yeah. I think I might have seen that in the past. I haven't seen anything recent there, William, on GWPH. Matt, say something about today's eBay action. That was position adjustment there, Matt. There's been some eBay flow recently, and they were adjusting positions there, rolling positions. So, but one thing about the eBays, another name is like Sienna. A lot of these names around earnings always see some activity. So, keep that in mind. Things we've been concentrating on in the room. We're looking, we're looking for the top shelf type action, not just, it's not always about one order unless it's a size sweep. It may be enough to fire off of, but we want to see that confidence. They can continue to come back for it, and then we'll make a play. I'll give you an example. MGM caught activity last week, guys. Honestly, I haven't seen aggressive size like that in a while. I bullshit you not, excuse my French. The problem was it caught earnings coming up later this month. Okay. So we're watching sweeps come in. One sweeper came in, another one came in, then one came in, a size one for like 600 grand. We're like, wow, this sucks. This might be earnings activity. You can't really even get excited about it. And then they kept coming. $1 million sweep. They hit up an August and May line. Aggressive is an understatement. So, at that point in time, we said to ourselves, okay, we got some weakness. It's a down day. We're not chasing green. It's really aggressive activity. Even though it catches earnings, maybe we can make a play on a run-up prior to the earnings announcement. And we kind of got lucky here. Actually, a lot of us weren't even in this for today. A couple guys were still in it. A lot of us sold it the next day. We had a nice pop. All right, but so I'm just giving you guys an example how you gotta take with a grain of salt a lot of the activity out there, being that we're heading into the heart of earnings season here. A lot of widely traded names. See action. Tesla news out just now, Mike. Mike is saying Tesla's got some news out. Oh, bink. Little squeezeroo. What's the news, Mike? You have any news there? 6 million units for week in June. Oh, 6 million units for the week in June. 6,000? 6,000. You think that's something that'll set off a pretty decent squeeze? Got a lot of shorties there. By the way, haven't seen really any crazy activity in Tesla. There's some action out there, more spec action than anything else. Nothing really exciting. Justin's talking some defense names: LMT, AGN, Blue, and Disney. I have not seen anything recent in any of them. I know there was some blue block activity. I don't know how long ago that is now. Might be a week or two, around there. I haven't seen anything recent. It's not as active. Once in a blue moon, I'll see some action. Oh, speaking of biotechs, you had this PTLA caught a call spread today. There was a decent looking sweep in this thing at lower levels, but looking good, a little lower levels. I think they might have some European data or FDA, something like that coming out on this. But we've been seeing some select biotech flow here and there. TiVo. No, Ari, I haven't seen any action in TiVo. I haven't seen any action on TiVo. And to be quite honest, TiVo, I'm not the biggest fan when it does catch action. Doesn't catch it much, but sometimes it'll catch block action. ML, what are you asking? Not sure if I missed the answer. Webinar, but anything gold and silver? No, I haven't seen anything really. We saw a little bit of silver buying. There was cheap buying There's been some GLD flow on both sides. Nothing that's really gotten my attention. You know, GLD's been stuck. That's one thing you don't want to chase green. You know that, ML. Try to buy at the bottom end of the range where no one's interested. Do not buy these candles, please, like this. Do not chase those things. I know, guys, it gets annoying, but you got to be careful on the chase. And I say that, listen, there's a good amount of you, like Maria, I know you could get away with it. You're active, you're looking to flip things and stuff like that. But the majority of you aren't as nimble. So chasing green shouldn't even be in your repertoire at all. You should be the number one focus every day when you come into trade. Should be working on not chasing green. So difficult. Yeah, it's risky, but Maria, I know you have your experience, and I'm not talking to the experienced trader out there because you know the risk that comes with it. You either got to stop yourself out, or you're playing options, you're playing it small, willing to lose what you put in, or you're looking to flip something. I'm talking about the position traders that a lot of you guys may fall in, the swing traders that you're looking for a decent move. Okay. And what happens is when you chase green, you may be up the next day, the following day. But from my experience throughout my career, over the long run, what you're going to realize is whatever you're up, you're not willing to take. And when it gives it back and that pull comes, if you're trading options, all that juice gets sucked out and you're done. You're done. Now you're hoping to battle back and make some of that money back. Forget about making money. Whereas opposed to if you're especially off flow, I think that's where the true edge comes in. But if you're buying weakness, like here, see this like MGM we were talking about? The stock was down. Okay. The next day, the stock snapped back and had a nice move, and a lot of us took it off the table. So the player who placed that bet, that all those sweepers, it's not like he was right the next day. You know what I mean? It happened. We bought it on weakness. The next day it bounced back. We had some decent green because we bought weakness, and we had some wiggle room. We had that decision to maybe take some chips off the table and use that cushion to our advantage. When you buy green, the likelihood of that happening is a lot less. Okay. And again, I'm telling you guys from my experience, and what I've been through. It was one of the toughest things to get myself, I guess you could say, training habit in the habit of doing. And that was, especially for swing trading, buying weakness. Because that wipes out a lot of today's stuff, right? That wipes out a lot of today's stuff. Like today, for me, like today is a seller's day. This is not a buying day for me. This is seller's day. I don't want to do much buying at all, if any, on a day like today. I don't care what you tell me the market's going to gap up tomorrow. Because even if the market gaps, you got to make sure you be selling into that gap. Because if you get caught in a pull, what good was that gap? I'll be saying I was being a piker. I left 50% winner on Netflix gone, looking for stupid returns before earnings. Hey, Abby, we all do it. No? We've all been there and done that. You just try to limit your mistakes. I was talking to a lot of you guys know Kimchi in the room who likes to work on his bad habits a lot. Turning day trades into swing trades. These are the stuff you have to really try to avoid. They're going to happen, but you can't get so discouraged when they happen and say, you see, I'm a degenerate. I can't get control over this. Even more the reason now to not let it happen again in the future. I mean, you're in control there. So, but I'm talking from experience. It took me a decent amount of time, a lot of work mentally. It was mentally exhausting, working on not chasing green. And it was the best thing throughout my career that I did. I chased data into a down market based on that sweep. Yep, I remember that sweep. I should have rolled more contracts out further in time for a sign of weakness. Lesson learned. Again, Cole, a lesson learned. And you know, if you actually learned from that lesson, it should happen less and less as you roll on here, right? And the less that happens, the better you're going to be as a trader. And see, like the data. See, here's the thing. Like when that data, he's talking about data caught a really good looking sweep. Okay, it was into green. The stock was green. The other problem, Cole, was the market was at the highs then, right? So not only was the stock green, but the market rolled over from there. And when you get a market rollover like we just experienced, that is not going to go in the total opposite direction. The market's going to take that down with it. Okay, and that's the problem. I mean, that's going to happen anyway, no matter what. But you know, that's what happens. That's the risk of a loser anywhere. But I'll give you an example. Okay, and you guys know I'm the first to admit I don't consider myself a good trader. That's, you know what I mean? I am no great trader. Trust me. I'd be the first to admit it. But I remember how I played the data. Okay, data had an up day, caught that good looking sweep. Okay, I think I tried day trading it. I didn't swing it. The next day, Cole, I don't know if you remember, the stock was down. Okay, the stock was down. I took a shot on it then, nothing huge, but took a shot on it, and it bounced back, and I flipped it. You know, so again, just the luxury of buying weakness. It's not going to happen like that all the time. That's not the point here. But the point is when you're chasing green, it's a lot less likely to happen. We talk about probability and odds a lot, right? Especially in a choppy market like we've been in. You got to be careful chasing green. Eric saying I got caught in the data too. Eric, like Cole, listen, and I'm telling all you guys, if you got caught in data, there's nothing wrong with that. Data caught a legitimate sweep. Okay? It's not, you did, the only thing wrong with data, in my opinion, at the time was the spot, right? We were talking about that, if you remember. It came at the worst spot. At highs, I think it was a gap up. Wasn't it even a gap up or something like that? That was the only thing wrong with data. But it was a legitimate bet, and you're going to have losers no matter what at times. So you can't, you know, you guys, I don't know, I'm getting the impression like you guys are trying to avoid losers in general. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But chasing green is something you can work on and get better at constantly. All right. Anybody else? Did I skip over anybody's question? If you want to throw it at me again, I'll be saying about NVIDIA. NVIDIA had some action. It's earnings season, Abby. I'm sure we're going to see even more activity. Just all these names right now, Abby. Are you for a swing trade? Like NVIDIA doesn't look all that bad, right? It's not that overextended like we're used to seeing. But I would rather buy a red day, Abby. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. If let's say NVIDIA tomorrow, the next day, is down $5, okay, market looks like garbage that day, and you see some NVIDIA sweeper activity come into that, that's where I would look at NVIDIA if you're eyeing it for a trade. You know, does that make sense? Okay, so for me, for example, like for me, I'm not eyeing NVIDIA. Like I'm looking elsewhere. I'm looking for initial activity in other groups, other names right now. Okay, so I'm not going to trade NVIDIA. The likelihood of me trading NVIDIA, it's not going to happen. All right, but if you trade these names and you're looking for that quick trade, you like to trade NVIDIA, that's how I would utilize the flow there. I would look for weakness. I would look for sweeper activity into that weakness, and that would be my guideline for a quick trade type of thing. But I wouldn't chase green. I just would not do it. I would look for a little pullback like this. If it runs away from me, let it run away from me. The other thing too, you guys who trade options know what do they do to these premiums when everyone's junked up in these big high beta names? People tripping over themselves. You got shorts getting squeezed. They're buying calls to hedge out their risk. So you're getting robbed on the call side. On days, where they're selling these things, nobody wants these calls. They come to you. You throw in a price there, you sit there, you likely get it. I remember a couple of guys did it in that Alcoa, which I think was the trade of the past 2 weeks, top trade by far. You had sweeper activity come in. The stock was green, pulled back throughout the day, ended up flat red. People got filled on cheap calls, and boom, you had an explosion there. What else? Did I miss anybody? All right, so here's would you please post a link to last Saturday's sweep series? Yeah. Peter, I think Charlie was away. He's usually the one handling that. I think he's back now, so I'll mention it to him to throw that link on private Twitter. All right, so guys, for what I'm seeing right now, we got some of the shorter term sentiment a little bit. We're not technically hot, but we're heating up. So I would look for that to cool off a little. That can cool off with one little gap down. It's that easy. Okay. If you remember, we were talking last Tuesday. What's been fascinating is a lot of the longer term sentiment, the intermediate term sentiment, the stuff that we couldn't get any bullish signal there forever. A lot of them were at levels where would usually signal major bottoms. You remember, we were talking about this last Tuesday. Okay. That's a good thing. Okay. But that doesn't mean go out, chase 3 days up in a row green. That just means, lean bullish, look for flow into pullbacks, see where the quality flow is going, and, don't get wrapped up into the news out there, because the news can drive you nuts. The news can drive you nuts. All right, so stay patient, allow things to set up. Keep an eye on those under the radar names. All right, even those of you who aren't on Twitter, sometimes I don't get a chance to throw them out. Aren't a member. Sometimes I don't get a chance to throw them out in close to real time, obviously. But take a peek at some of those obscure names that I throw on there. If you're capable of trading them, there might be some decent opportunities. Anybody who's interested in checking out the room, go to wallstreetjesus.com, and we offer free 3-day pass, no credit card. Okay, no obligation, no credit card. You can get an idea of what we're looking at. Okay, you're not going to get a true feel for the flow in 3 days, but you get a good idea of what we're all about, what we're trying to do. All right, and then you have an option 50% off the first month, blah, blah, blah. If you're interested in just private Twitter is included in that. If you're interested in just private Twitter, you could go to the products page and click on private Twitter. For $59.90 a month, you get access to private Twitter there. All right, guys. Thanks for coming by, sharing your Tuesday with me, and good luck the rest of the week. Okay? Stay thirsty. Stay bullish. Be good, guys.